Hello there, I'm Murray. I collect Steel Legion, and I'm going to show you how to paint Steel Legion. That is just going to be the ambience to this entire video. My apologies. But first, a little context and preamble. If you're a fan of this channel, you would know that for many a year, I've been a long-time fan of the Armageddon Steel Legion. Grumpy, rough and tumble humans in the world of the 41st millennium in Warhammer. It's an extremely famous setting in 40K lore, with grizzled, epic heroes beloved by fans leading their forces to battle, lives being mistreated in the same way that a giant steamroller mistreats ants. What a glorious and joyful world to invest consumer interest and money on. All Games Workshop has to do in the year of 2026 is roll out the red carpet for the very recent and newly reimagined Commissar Yarrick to glorious fanfare. You see, it started off so well. Yarrick's new introduction and brand new model looks amazing. It's fantastic, and it came accompanied with a whole CG trailer showing him off and the world of Armageddon burning. But there was one big problem. Instead of bringing the Steel Legion back, they sort of took them around the back of the shed and sort of put two between the eyes, it seems. Not only did the trailer predominantly feature Death Corps of Krieg and Acadian Shock Trooper models, there was no Steel Legion models, which is a bit of a bummer. Mostly because everyone were eagerly anticipating the speech that was inevitably coming in the trailer. This is our home, we fight for our land, our people, etc., etc., as it then shows no Steel Legion. It feels like it's cemented to everyone the fact that if they're not going to create a 3D asset for a Steel Legion trooper, they're probably not going to make plastic models for them. And honestly, my reaction to that trailer and the article itself was, yay, we got a model, but also disappointment that there would be no other models for the faction. Cementing the fact that, yeah, I probably wasn't going to get any because on this channel, I had been basically reinventing my own, updating them using the newer kits. If you want to see more on that, videos. Description. There you go. And that would have been bad enough if they'd left that alone afterwards. Pretty much days later, Games Workshop made another article. This one showing you how to paint a Death Corps of Krieg model in the colors of Armageddon, painting one human subfaction as another. In fact, they themselves brought attention to the fact that on top of all this, the Death Corps of Krieg started out as an alternative painting scheme for the Armageddon Steel Legions. It was just a Steel Legion model with a skull painted on the gas mask. I'm so sorry about the banging. There's a lot of industrialism happening right now. If it's any consolation, it's a lot worse for me than it is for you. So Games Workshop sort of supposited that it was a joyous complete circle that now Death Corps of Krieg would be painted as Steel Legion. Hooray, isn't that fun? But I think that was really just taken as an extra kick in the teeth as the fans of Steel Legion were dying in the gutter. There was even a little FAQ saying, have you forgotten about the Steel Legion? To which Games Workshop says, they've been fighting on their planet for generations and are nearly all gone. There's still plenty of them left, but they're all gone, so don't expect to see them, basically. Despite the fact that apparently they're outnumbered on their own planet by the Acadians, whose own planet blew up. That was an interesting one. Feels like they just keep opening the wound, to which I suppose many people would say it's one subfaction of Imperial Guard. Does it matter that much? And the honest answer is, of course it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. But also at the same time, we collect plastic and metal toy soldiers, which intrinsically on that very level of collecting something for fun means that it matters a lot. I think anyone that is a fan of the most niche, off to the side subfaction of any race in Warhammer IP would be fully justified in, you know, being a bit upset if they didn't get the thing that they were looking forward to. And I think that's okay. The bells, they ring. Which I suppose leads me to the point of, if you weren't going to do it Games Workshop, why the hell did you decide to bring Yarrick back as a model anyway? Because let me just check something. Feels like a little bit of, you know, the old bait and switch. Here's the thing you want, haha, idiot, slap. If we quickly consult the contemporary Imperial Guard Codex, look, named characters, Gaunt's Ghost, Nork Dead Dog, Tank Commanders, Slimarbo, Lord Solar, Ursula Creed. Not a single Commissar Yarrick in there. he'd already been moved to Legends. I suppose that was really the confirmation that he was supposedly dead in the lore. So really, it feels like they brought back Commissar Yarrick just to draw attention to the fact that they're not doing the rest of the Steel Legion. Which, time will tell. I mean, hell, as of recording, I think the Adepticon reveals tomorrow. It would be extremely funny, foot in mouth even, that they just suddenly bring out some Steel Legion.
It does not exist.
Hold up, wait a minute. That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
In fact, I could see years down the line that they actually make like some kill teams, maybe each of the Imperial Guard regiments. Because that's also something that was so endearing. This is why people like the Steel Legion. It was that variety that was within the Astra Militarum. All the 100 ways to paint Eucadian in different things. You've got all the different regiments, all their colors and designs, body proportions and weights. Here we go, a full spread. Steel Legions with a Chimera, what they're known for. Catachans in the jungle, Talon Desert Raiders, and the Valhallans. All cool, all extremely awesome, and they all have their flavors for building your army for Warhammer. And it just goes on, and that's what was so attractive about it. It was tiny little humans in all their little flavors across the galaxy trying to survive against the encroaching horror that is Tyranids or Chaos. Hell, coming back to Games Workshop's tongue-in-cheekness that they used to have, Abaddon, the Despoiler. Abaddon. A bad one. He's literally the baddie. Yeah. I don't know what point I was making with that, but no, I know what point I was making, is that Games Workshop used to be fun. And now that's the disappointment now. It's clearly they're not doing things like Steel Legion, and it sort of feels like a bit of a death knell for the other regiments, right? They're not doing this one, so what hope do your Kanak Skull Takers have down the line? Is it Kanak? Did I get it right? Oh, he's a nerd. But it would be really boring and disheartening if I let all that get to me. Instead, I decided to use that despondency to encourage myself to make something for myself. And that resulted in my series in which I revisited my Steel Legion and started converting them, making them brand new, making them exactly how I wanted to see them. And so it's about time that I show you exactly how I paint my Steel Legion using Steel Legion models. Alright, with the power of movement magic, we are at our painting table, and I have one of my little Steel Legion customized and kit bashed models right here. If you would like to know exactly how I customized this in further detail, there's a couple of whole videos on it which you can totally check out. Those links are in the description. Ha YouTube thing. But you can see how I've just briefly accentuated like the big gloves and then the trench coat, taken away all the it's like the wet weather strapping on the boots that every sculptor is obsessed with. Filed all that away and just make them normal big boots. And then of course I've trimmed away part of the helmet, earmuffs on the side. I've kept a bit of the design of the Cadian helmet. It's not like a true pot helm like the Steel Legion have, because I fully edited a few models like that, and oh my god, there's so much extra effort for nothing. You basically can see the guy's ears now. And then of course I've sculpted in the gas mask and breathing tube. Got rid of the backpacks and I sculpted on the little braces and a little patch for the sigil on the shoulder. And that's about it. Let's start painting. As you can see, I've started with a base coat of black, and then I'm just gonna paint all the fatigues with a Eveland Sunset. Basically listing all the Games Workshop paints that I use, because that's what I've traditionally used over the years, but you can swap out for any brand that you favor. Slather it all over in a couple of base coats. I want this to end up nice and thick. It's gonna take a few coats, so we'll just take our time and go through it. I'm doing like a whole Bob Ross thing here, what the hell? It's a happy little trench coat. One thing I did want to talk about in my videos, I have a lot of people in the comments say, why don't I just 3D print third-party stuff that kind of looks like Steel Legion? The answer to that is actually really bloody simple. I don't want to. I want to actually make Steel Legion. And if I can't get actual Emperor Blessed models that are Steel Legion, then I want to make things that are as close to the original article as possible. Sculpting and painting is my fun in the hobby. I actually very rarely play the game. And so why would I remove the biggest source of joy in the hobby from myself? So that is why. There's some cool models out there, but again, it's just not what I'm looking for. Plus you get that, oh, this is mine, this is special, and it doesn't exist anywhere else, unless people copy it, which is completely fine. The old imitation is the greatest form of flattery. But in the meantime, these are mine, and they make me happy. This was maybe 3 or 4 coats, really crisp. It's also really messy, literally doesn't matter. I'm gonna paint over that. It's time to do the next steps. All the leather parts, gloves, boots, gas mask, I'm gonna paint those all with a really rich brown. And then all the armor parts, like the hat and also the casing for the gun, I'm gonna paint those a more neutral brown, which is basically gonna be the grimy undertones for what I'm gonna do to it later. So let's do that, shall we? I'm gonna use Doombull Brown. Oh, she's brand new, very nice. So I finished the brown and it is now time to do the last base coating things, which is all the metal. That's what we're missing. Pipes, goggles, the ends of the guns, etc. I'm just gonna brush over it with an iron breaker. Any mid-tone silver is fine. Now, what's a bit different with the silver here is that it can be a bit messier, but also I'm specifically gonna leave the recesses black. Call this overbrushing. You're just sort of gliding it over the top. You're not letting it rest in all the recesses. You get a bit of a automatic shading. If some of the metal trails off a bit like this and you're like, oh, this is a bit messy, that's fine. It will either look like battle damage or it's going to get covered in a step soon. And boom, that's fairly simple and painless. Now we get to move on to the part where everyone was wondering why I used 2 tones of brown. It's because I'm going to cover one of them with green. Despite the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, I like my guys to be quite vibrant, particularly inspired by one of the Armageddon art pieces. Splat appears now, thank you editor, in which everything is just this really rich, luscious ochre. I'm gonna take my Deathworld forest, almost like I'm dry brushing. I'm not gonna cover all the brown. I specifically want some of the brown to be showing. You can see there, this is like a big patch in the middle. So you get a bit of variance there. Sort of really picks out the las gun in particular. With your 40K miniatures, if you make the hat or the helmet or the head stick out, and then the weapon they're using, usually that's a pretty good indicator of both the role the individual has on the battlefield, but also it's really easy for you and your opponent to identify. Cool. I'm going to do the fun step, which is all the shading. Just going to be applying washes. Now, I'm going to be using 2 washes, but I'm going to start with one, Fugan Orange. Nice, strong orange wash, because this is going to go on the fatigues, and the fatigues are sort of hidden under the chest. They're the hardest to reach, so it makes sense to paint those first. So I'm going to apply pretty lightly. Basically, I want to tint the fatigues. A nice even tone on the arm here. It's got all the ridges and things. Definitely allow it to pull into those recesses where the cloth is bunched up. That's where you get all your instant shading. I'm even putting this over the just exposed neck area. Don't let it rest anywhere, just keep it moving. Now you can see immediately there's that real richness in the fatigues that I really like in my models. It's not for everyone. You could just use a brown wash or something, but for now, it's time for the other shade. And this one is Nuln Oil. Or what used to be Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil used to be a lot darker, so I have my own special Nuln Oil. I have taken current Nuln Oil, about 50% Black Templar, and then mixed in some like green shades and things. I'm gonna put this on fairly thickly. This is gonna go all over the armor and the leathers. Just making sure that you don't touch the orange, because black is extremely noticeable on orange. Black here is gonna pool in some of the areas, leaving the green plates with a bit of a touch of brown visible. So you get a bit of a mottled, blended appearance that looks like their helmets and their guns have been battered around for a bit. It's fairly subtle, but it does look good, I reckon. All right. Was that thunder? Oh, the audio for this video is going to be so cursed. It is time to highlight the clothes, or the fatigues. For that, I've mixed up some Evelyn Sunset, just with some Screaming Skull, some sort of ivory. Definitely leaning it more towards the Evelyn Sunset, because it's such a strong color. I don't want to go too bright too quickly. The cloth is a bit distressed. You know, it's got some fraying happening. So that allows you to get away with not having the most crisp, perfect line. I think people sometimes forget that. Make it nice and sort of sketchy, doing an artwork with, you know, a pencil or a biro or something. But now we get to all the ridges and the folds in the cloth, and this is where you can get a bit more gusto with it. Some of the colors can be a bit harsh here, because that's just going to help them pop on the tabletop. And I'm going to take more of the Screaming Skull. I'm just going to do some pop highlights. Doesn't need to be much. And there's that. Time for the next step. The next step is just re-highlighting some of the green areas, make them pop out a bit more after the wash. I definitely want to reestablish the halo around the top of the helmet here, where the light is hitting and reflecting off the edge. That's that bit done. Now let's highlight the leathers. So many ways you can do leather, but if you just want a quick and easy basis to start with basic paints, I'm just gonna do a major highlight, you know, a very rough one with XV88, and then I'll do a very light, very gentle spot highlight with Ungor Flesh. That's a very sad XV88. Aha, that's worse. Well, that's not really brown anymore. Yeah, that's more the color it's supposed to look like. Anyway, all I need to do is just find all the little ridges. Have you ever seen leather or like superhero latex or whatever the hell? There's always like a big jagged highlight line. You can just sort of replicate that here. Trace all the ridges, establish those nice lines. Honestly, just following the contours of the model. If you're not sure where you should be putting these lines, just see where the light is naturally falling onto it. You can see down here at the boot. That's not actually painted, that's just the light hitting it. Follow it. There you go. Ta-da! Just like that. Let's take a look at this one. Hey! The Ungor flesh is not completely shagged. I'm getting most of the Ungor flesh off my brush. I want it very, very light indeed. You can see we've done our highlight on the glove here. We're just gonna touch the peak here. A little bit and stop. A little bit on the knuckles. A little dot on the nose. Line of dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Like, that's quite subtle, but it's also noticeable. Sometimes that's all you need. All right. We're onto some fine details. So there's two parts on the Steel Legion model that has some sort of noticeable decals or markings. This shoulder here, you can see that convenient little rondelle on the fatigues. I'm just gonna grab some off-grey, Rakarth flesh for this. I'm gonna paint that in, make him stand out, and give him a little bit of a highlight. And then we do the Steel Legion sigil, which is a little lightning bolt. Harry Potter looking thing happening here. Nice, big, thick start. There we go. Very good. And to be extra fancy, a bit of a highlight with a lighter red. Cool, just like that. And then on the side of the hat, I'm gonna do a little emblem as well. The sigil on this is a little bit more abstract, just define the shape if nothing else. And then the last part of that, a little stripe of yellow goes at the bottom of it, just like that. It's small details like this which suddenly give a lot more life to the model. A bit of character, a bit of personality happening with him. And honestly, that's basically done. What we're gonna do now is a very subtle, actually, highlight on the lens. And what that does is just sort of represents the light hitting. And another one just up in there. Just like you'd paint, you know, a gemstone or something. Highlight at the bottom and then a little dot of light at the top. And that is all done, except for the base. So let's slap something down on that, shall we? We have the magically apt name, Armageddon Dust. Well, won't be using a brush for that. Sculpting tool! That'll do. Grab your favorite dentist tool. Bloody shove it on there. Pack it around the feet in the middle of the base first, and you can build outwards. Doesn't matter if you get a bit messy. Dust and grime gets on your boots. Actually, if you want to be a bit extra, you can use a weathering pigment. Stipple the lower half of your model from like the knees down, and you'll really blend it into the base. And just let that sit there and contemplate his future as he dries. Done. Don't look at me, look at the reveals. There they are. And there you have it, a Steel Legion converted from Acadian into a Steel Legion, painted like a Steel Legion. I hope that was everything you're looking for in your time of Steel Legion-y need. And again, if you're interested in how I'm painting things and converting and making my army again from scratch, basically, stay tuned. Next month, there will be a bunch of new videos. But in the meantime, if you can't wait, you can of course check out our channel in which I have done previous videos. You can see all the conversions and the work and thoughts that I put into it there. So check that out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.